The midday news on CoreTV News. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. The presidency has denied claims that it deliberately delayed the military offensive against Boko Haram to boost the electoral chances of President Goodluck Jonathan. It also accused the All Progressives Congress of displaying hypocrisy and lack of sincerity in hailing the military and condemning the government. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs, Doyin Okupe, said at a news conference in Abuja that the recent success of counterinsurgency operations had nothing to do with politics. He also accused APC of demeaning the military and criticizing measures adopted by the government.
Recent success of the Nigerian military in the war against terror has been made possible by the following factors. One, there was deployment of specially trained anti-terrorism combat squad. These people, these officers, military officers, were trained by some of our international collaborators. And it takes time. Some of them took 6 months, some of them took 9 months. But most of them that underwent such training have now been able to join the fighting force at the front. Two, as of now, it is obvious and is an incontrovertible fact that the military has acquired and we have been able to deploy more sophisticated and adequate and appropriate military hardware to our fighting forces. Three, and also perhaps very important, is the recent approval by the African Union and United Nations for a broad-based international coalition to collaborate with our military. This approval also gives legal authority and backing to our neighbors, that is Republic of Chad, Niger, and Cameroon, to lawfully deploy troops on Nigerian soil. There's no way Chad or Cameroon or Niger will deploy their soldiers into Nigeria, even upon our requisition. And it's not done. In diplomatic parlance, that cannot be done. Even though Chad and these are neighbors wanted to assist, it took some time, but when they actually finally came on board, they required some legal, they required some legal backing, some legal protocol. And this had only recently been given by the African Union and the United Nations. These are the three factors, or these are part of the factors that have actually made it, to be possible for our soldiers to now achieve the successes which they currently have achieved. Regrettably, however, the All Progressive Congress, which has the unfortunate antecedent of siding with terrorists and criticizing measures adopted by government to tackle insurgency, as well as demeaning the Nigerian military, does not seem to be happy with these recent successes.
1 year after the massacre of 59 male students of the federal government college Buniyadi, Yobe State, the Bring Back a Girls group on Wednesday held a special sit-out session on their memory. Now, at the gathering, many decried the continued show of lack of concern by federal government towards the plight of the families that were affected, insisting that no lessons has been learned from the experience. Prayers were offered for their souls, for their families, the Chibok girls, as well as troops involved in counterinsurgency operations across the country, especially northeast Nigeria.
It's not time to really agonize or, but definitely these things that are happening are things that would have been avoided if really government was sincere and serious about the issue of Boko Haram up initial. And I believe that government has responsibility, and that is what we do as government officials. And the government should not have kept just quiet over this. Government should do something. I really don't know what exactly, but they should have done something to either make sure that this kind of incidents does not happen, or the parents should have been, something that the government will show kind of concern, because it's their responsibility anyway. These children were in the custody of the government when the issue happened.
Well, today is to commemorate the 1 year of the Buniyadi incident, because As you are well aware, there wasn't much publicity about it, and the country moved on almost immediately. In fact, the next day, the president hosted a centenary program where he had African heads of states, and he didn't, even at that point in time, remember these Buniyadi boys or their parents, not even 1 minute silence. And that has been the attitude.
Our government should have done differently was to reach out immediately to these parents, console them, and look for a way to give them solace, because you cannot repay a life. Nobody can repay a life. But showing concern is very important, and it's a natural way of being human. Coming from the Northeast and a medical doctor, I believe a lot has been abandoned by our federal government.
University lecturers in Kano are demanding a thorough investigation into the circumstances that led to the killing of Professor Ahmed Falaki of the Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria. Now, they are also demanding a public apology from the police authorities for describing the professor of agriculture and members of his entourage as Boko Haram insurgents. The Kano zone of the Academic Staff Union of University Staff Union said in a statement that Professor Falaki was killed by policemen at Fala village in Tundunwada local government area of the state. The lecturers insisted that their colleague, who was returning from Bauchi State, stopped at the village to change a flat tire when his car was snatched by gunmen. ASU members added that in spite of identifying himself to policemen chasing Boko Haram members, they beat him up and subsequently labeled him an insurgent in spite of not finding any weapon on him. Presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, has condemned the latest bombings in Yobe and Kano states, in which scores of innocent people were killed and many more injured. A statement issued by the Directorate of Media and Publicity of the APC Presidential Campaign Organization quoted Buhari as regretting that the latest Yobe bombing came on the eve of the first anniversary of the Buniyadi attack, where schoolboys were murdered in their dormitories. It said while the party's presidential campaign commends the efforts and sacrifices of counter-terrorism forces, there is need for greater vigilance and new strategies. APC presidential campaign also called for more and tougher strategies, adding that a situation where the criminals outsmart the system is disturbing. It called on the federal government to take proactive steps to stem the frequency with which the terrorists or suicide bombers penetrate security cordon and checkpoints with ease. Opposition members of the House of Representatives on Wednesday staged a walkout from the chamber after a rowdy session over a motion on the deployment of soldiers for the forthcoming elections. The motion was raised by Femi Gbajabiamila, but members from the ruling party insisted that it cannot be discussed since the matter was in court. Deputy Speaker Emeka Ihedioha, who presided at the sitting, ruled in favor of the Chairman House Committee on Rules and Business, Sam Sokwa, who advised the House against deliberating on the issue. This led to a walkout by members of the opposition, led by the minority leader, Femi Gbajabiamila. And now to Edo State, where the governor, Adams Oshiomhole, says the People's Democratic Party in the state has perfected plans to rig the forthcoming general elections on March 28 and April 11. According to the governor, some PDP chieftains have made overtures to assist them in ensuring that PDP thugs are given easy passage during the polls to carry out the alleged rigging plot. Oshiomhole said politicians are already making contact with senior military officers under the 4th Brigade, asking them to assist their thugs in buying rubbers, armed bands, or various colors of distinguished People's Democratic Party PDP thugs from APC, and to also have special stickers that will be used in identifying their people. The police have arrested a female politician, Aisha Maijama, and 23 suspected political thugs she allegedly hired for an operation in the Tundunwada area of Kano. She is said to be a member of the People's Democratic Party and a staunch member of the political camp of Bashir Lado, an incumbent federal lawmaker representing Kano Central. Briefing newsmen on the development, Police Commissioner Ibrahim Idris said the suspected thugs were caught in the act with dangerous weapons.
We are not going to tolerate politicians while on procession or on campaign waving dangerous weapons, or attacking each other. In the process, coercing, intimidating, innocent people within the community. We should realize that it's not only political actors that are inhabiting these states. We have innocent people that does not participate in these political activities. And I think they deserve to be left in peace.
I belong to the PDP.
Why are you here? Why are you here?
I belong to the PDP.
And why are you here? Why are you at the police headquarters?
I'm here because I came to solicit for the release of the boys that were captured by the police because they went there to plaster some posters in my local government. And then somebody framed us that we are trying to kill somebody.
Did you send them?
I didn't send them.
Why did you want to be there for their release?
They are our boys. They are from our headquarters, PDP headquarters. As a mother, I should be concerned.
Are you telling us that they were being framed or what?
I am the one who is being framed, not them, because I'm a political figure.
So what's your name?
Are you suspecting anybody?
And that is my name.
Hajia, are you suspecting anybody?
I cannot name names, but I can tell you that I am being framed, and God will see me through.
But you are recording voices also, isn't it?
A Kaduna-based prominent Islamic preacher who was dragged to court by the former chief security officer to late head of state Sani Abacha, Hamza Mustafa, has been quizzed by the DSS for 48 hours and released for alleged inciting statements. The Imam Sanusi Khalil is reported to have made a lot of inciting statements in the aftermath of the 2011 general elections. A source, however, confirmed that he has been released after 48 hours in the custody of the DSS in Kaduna. We'll take a break now, and I'll be back with more stories. Stick around, don't go away.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Thanks for joining us again. You can also get all of our top stories on any of our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/CoreTV News. We're also trending on Twitter. It's at CoreTV News NG. You can also get all of our top stories and our programs on YouTube now. It's streaming live on youtube.com/CoreTV, Live Space and News. Moving on now, the Federal Executive Council has approved 9 new private universities for the country. The approval was given by a meeting presided over by Vice President Namadi Sambo. Minister of Aviation, Osita Chidoka, who briefed journalists on the outcome of the meeting, said the new universities include Michael and Cecilia Ibru University and Hallmark University.
At this meeting, approved the establishment of 9 new private universities across the country. The 9 new universities are Augustine University, Ilara, Lagos State; Chrisland University, Owode, Ogun State; Christopher University, Mowe, Ogun State; Hallmark University, Ijebu-Itele, Ogun State; King's University, Odeomu in Osun State; Michael and Cecilia Ibru University, Orode in Delta State; Mountain Top University, Makogi Oba in Ogun State; Ritman University, Ikorepene in Akwa Ibom State; and Summit University, Ofa in Kwara State.
The Federation Accounts Allocation Committee has shared 500.1 billion naira among federal, state and local governments for the month of January 2015. The amount disbursed to the 3 tiers of government included the 6.3 billion naira refunded by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC. Minister of State for Finance, Mr. Bashir Yuguda, made this known on Thursday night when he briefed newsmen on the outcome of FAC meeting in Abuja. Our breakdown shows the federal government got 194.3 billion naira, representing 52.6 8%, and states 98.5 billion naira, representing 26.72%, while local government received 75.9 billion naira, amounting to 20.60% of the amount distributed. There were, however, concerns over the continued plunge in the Federation's revenue, as states were again urged to increase their internal revenue generation drive that relies solely
we also
on
go
Federation
to the
allocation.
section for the VAT, that is the value added tax that we receive. And the cost of collection also is to be deducted from that one, which is a figure of 63 billion 935. We take the cost of collection 2.557. That gives us net figure of 61 billion 378. Now for the revenue sharing formula for the VAT, like we all know, the state government take the highest amount of money. They take 50% of that. The federal government will take the lowest of 15%, and then 20% goes to the local government's account. 35%, sorry. So the, after all this, the net for VAT is 61 billion 378. So we take the all the accounts together, we have grand total revenue of 500 billion 131 billion to be shared among the three tiers of government, like I have mentioned.
The Senate has shifted the screening and confirmation of 8 ministerial nominees till next Tuesday. The postponement was to enable senators deliberate on the medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper already slated in the order paper. All the nominees were already in the National Assembly complex before the Senate decided to defer the screening. There are, however, indications that the Senate has received 2 petitions against Obanikoro's nomination. One of the petitions centered around the former minister's alleged role in the August 2014 Ekiti governorship poll, June 21 rather, Ekiti governorship poll. The Federal Cabinet has given its consent for the President's anticipatory approval to obtain a $100 million credit from the French Development Agency in support of Lagos Integrated Urban Development Project, ECO-UP. It also ratified a similar facility of $200 million for River State for the proposed Port Harcourt water supply and sanitation project, and an African Development Fund credit of $5 million to support urban water sector reform project. While the Lagos loan has a repayment plan of 20 years, including a 7-year moratorium, that of Rivers is 15 years with a moratorium of 5 years. The council also approved an Islamic Development Bank loan of $65 million for Osun State, as well as $33.174 million credit facility from the French Development Agency to support the Ogun State water supply project.
The Council ratified the President's anticipatory approval for an Islamic Development Bank loan for financing of the water supply and sanitation project in Osun State. The Council also ratified the presidential approval to obtain $70 million credit facility and associated grants of $15 million in support of the Climate Change Adaptation and Agribusiness Support Program from International Fund for Agricultural Development. Also, Council ratified the anticipatory approval to obtain $100 million credit from the French Development Agency in support of Lagos Integrated Urban Development Project. The $33.174 million credit from the French Development Agency in support of Ogun State water supply project. Council also ratified a presidential approval for obtaining of $131.5 million US loan and African Development Bank support in support of Port Harcourt water supply and sanitation in favor of Rivers State government.
The Senate is seeking a drastic cut in cost of governance after approving the 2015 to 2017 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework, MTEF. It has also pegged crude oil benchmark for the 2015 budget at $52 a barrel. Senators unanimously approved the report of a Joint Senate Committee that considered the fiscal framework after an intense debate. We should create a segment. News from the Senate.
Going to be spent, but all these accounts, the service-wide votes, the specialization account, natural resource development account, and all the other accounts that we are able to know, because there are so many that we may not know. We have funds for the generality of Nigerians, and with this, I support the submission of Committee on Finance, even though it's said that we have to peg the benchmark at 52.
It's now volume of money with less purchasing power and not value of money. Secondly, the cost of goods and services, which we defend. For instance, rice, we imported a great quantity of it. The price is going to rise because of the exchange rate. Already, the automobile industry market, they have already increased the price by vehicles that used to sell by 2.1, 2.2 million are now selling at 3.1 million. They have increased the price by about 30 to 40%.
So we believe that we need to reshape our economy. We need to emphasize some other areas, including taxation, science and technology, agriculture, and tourism. So it is time for us to begin to see other areas of expenditure that we need to prop up.
What this clearly shows is that we all have to tighten our belts across the entire sectors of this government. We have, for the last several years, relied on oil as the main source of our revenue, and I know that budget after budget in this country, we've said we'll diversify the economy,
Meanwhile, the major highlight of the Senate report on the MTEF is the decision to do away with service-wide vote, which has 360 billion naira allocated to it in the 2015 budget. Service-wide vote is a major component of budget of ministries, departments and agencies, the MDAs, earmarked for contingencies, but without attached projects. Senators unanimously agreed that President Goodluck Jonathan should put a stop to setting funds aside for service-wide votes. They also want the presidency to transfer the 63 billion naira earmarked on the service-wide vote for presidential amnesty program to the Ministry of Niger Delta. The Senate reviewed the expenditure on subsidy reinvestment and empowerment program SHORPI downward from 102.50 billion naira to 21.03 billion naira. The lawmakers also slashed subsidy payment on petrol by half from 200 billion naira to 100 billion naira as a result of lower crude oil price. The House Committee on Public Account has given the federal government a one-week ultimatum to submit the full report of the forensic audit of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. Briefing newsmen after plenary, committee chairman Solomon Adiola said it's standard practice for such reports to first come in draft, discussed and fine-tuned before the release of the final report. He also pointed that by virtue of Section 85, subsection 6 of the Constitution, the Auditor General ought not to have been directed by President Jonathan to deal with the report. Outside Nigeria now, Amnesty International has urged the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council to give up their power of veto in cases where atrocities are being committed. The rights group said the global response to an array of catastrophes in 2014 had been shameful. richer countries were guilty of taking an aberrant stance by not sheltering more refugees. Sally Shetty, the organization's Secretary General, said in a statement that the United Nations Security Council had miserably failed to protect civilians. Instead, the Council's 5 permanent members, the UK, China, France, Russia, and the United States, had used their veto to promote their political self-interest or geopolitical interest above the interest of protecting civilians. It's a wrap this hour on CoreTV News. Do join us again at the top of the hour for more stories. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Thanks for being there.